So who's not here? What? 9? What's happening?
Hey, Sebastian, do you think we should go through the changes of Orchard 2 as well after we do the changes of Orchard 1?
Oh, well, usually we do that at the end of the meeting.
Okay.
Time.
I was just thinking because we don't normally step through the changes like we do with.
That's correct. I just show what's new and not the changes. I just do demos.
I don't know. Have a think about it. It's just an idea.
Okay. Waiting 1 more minute. Just 10. I'm missing some important people. But we have Daniel back.
Indeed.
Where were you, Daniel?
I've just been mentally absent, I suppose, focusing on other things.
What is that? I don't know where. Okay. Still 10. Let's start. Committee, Benedek, Zoltan, myself. Good. No. Not Antoine. No. Okay, let's go. Crap. Meetings. So last week, demos, topics, NuGet, and we'll see Glimpse. This has been done. New websites. Okay, new page. We are the January 12, 2015. So we'll do status, and we'll see that NuGet has been pushed. And I tried it. It was interesting. I will show you. So the status, status demos. Demos, Zoltan.
I would have one. Actually, I wanted to have this like a month ago, but somehow I forgot about it.
Can't be interesting then.
It's very cool.
Okay. Anyone else? Sipke can't do any demo because he's not here. And he will not have, I assume. Nick?
No demo from me.
No demo from you. So
You would know if I had a demo.
Well, I was hoping maybe you could have a demo. I didn't know about demos, topics. If anyone wants to talk about something, release. Topics and we'll see. Piotr is here, so one more. Seb broke it. I broke what? Oh, yeah, you need to run the setup and restart everything. So status 7 days ago.
My shell setting changes didn't break the Orchard 2 installation, did it?
I think it broke the setup, but yeah, I bet I also broke it.
Okay,
so
cool.
It's fine. Everyone's breaking it. Yeah, you broke everything because the tenant were not the same format. The tenant files. We'll see the status later. Okay. So Simon about the admin. Piotr, you should ping Simon. We like to see a demo of that. I assume you can contact him. You're not that far away from him.
Mm-hmm.
I like to see a demo. how it's evolving and what's left to do. So this is a big merge to migrate to NuGet, and you see all the lib files have been removed, and NuGet is now there. I can show you how it looks like for those who haven't tried it. So this is the dev branch plus the Azure Authentication module. Then everything here is from a NuGet package. You see, oh, maybe SRC packages, blah blah. And what is interesting is that I worked on integrating the Azure Authentication from Radio System guys. What am I looking for? This am I presenting?
You are, yes. Sebastian, just a quick question on that, on the Azure stuff. I saw a video the other day about Azure AD B2C. Do you know about it?
Azure AD B2C.
I was just wondering if integration with that service is included as well in the new module?
No, I don't know what it is.
Okay.
Or maybe I know, but I don't know. It's called Azure B2C.
Yeah, it's basically like if you want an Azure-based user store for your cloud app, I suppose you can set up an AD that's just for your application.
I saw that. Because I worked with some. I had a meeting with some guy at Microsoft working on multi-tenancy, and they showed it. They were using it, I think.
It looked really cool to me. It would be super valuable to be able to use it as the backing user store for Orchard as well.
We talked about it, and Luis was at the meeting, and we talked also about what we were doing in Orchard, because Orchard has the store, and in their context, we were questioning if it made sense to be based on Azure, because it was not the issue of the implementation. Well, yes,
I'm going to say that it would probably work, but I think we probably need to localize those settings per tenant and not just globally.
And there are also the profiles information. Yeah, you can store it there, but then they will say it's not a database, so don't use it as a database.
Well, we got customer profile stuff working a little bit with Orchard now too, where we are looking at storing profile images in your AD, your Azure AD, so you can pull those into Orchard. So we're doing some of that stuff now.
Was it Rob? Jamie, it was Jamie. I can't recognize your voices. Interesting. Okay, let's look into that. Can open. So yeah, I was talking about the NuGet. So it worked very well for me. I just downloaded the dev branch, check out the dev branch, then I tried to build, and it downloaded all the NuGet packages automatically. I had no issues. And then, nice scenario. So, Jamie, you're concerned by that. So, I tried to include Orchard Azure Authentication, which is actually radiosystem.azure authentication. I have some other questions. So, for instance, this still has the license file. I haven't touched it. We need to see if we need to keep it or not. I kept the README file, but removed the big part which was related to NuGet. Because what is interesting with this module is that it was using NuGet, and now the dev branch is also using NuGet. So it was easy because there was already a packages.config file which was pointing to specific NuGet packages. It worked, but one of the things in the README file from their module was that you need to upgrade to OWIN 3.0.1, and currently Orchard uses OWIN 3.0.0. So the dev branch, which is using packages, NuGet packages, is using OWIN 3.0.0. So then I added this module, and I just went there, right-click, and manage NuGet packages for solutions. for the solution. And there is this tab, Consolidate, which will show you for all the discrepancies between NuGet packages across all your projects. And then for each of, so it was showing OWIN, for instance, or JSON, by the way, because JSON was using 604 in one of the modules and 701 in all the others. So it was showing them, and for the OWIN, it will tell me, hey, look at all these projects. This one is using 301 and this one is using 300. So then you can select which projects you want to change, like revert back to 300 or move them updated to 301. And it will handle the binding redirects too automatically. So it was pretty neat. So what I did then, because authentication required 301, I just selected the project to upgrade to 301 everything, and then it also changed the web config, the binary redirects in all the web apps like the SpecFlow, the test. Obviously, it's missing the Azure solution. Now thinking about it, I need to upgrade them also. And maybe the NuGet branch didn't take care of the Azure solution. I'm not sure. I will check. But it worked well, and now it's building and it's running, so it was a good experience. But this view helped a lot, and we can see, for instance, what is not up to date, and if we want to try to update some libraries. And then it will apply the change to everything in the solution. So even if you're a module developer, you can use it to keep in sync with the Orchard version to see what discrepancy in terms of package versions you have in your solution. Yep, so this has been merged and it works. Then this is the same change. Fixing that when editing, sorry, questions about it, concerns, you can remove. Okay, it's recorded, so I won't be blamed for that.
No, you can just use your license for your all stuff.
So what I still, because I don't want to lose who made that, I kept the author Radio System Corp. Here I just changed the module name and the namespaces. I kept the README. I think it's good to have a README. Maybe we should have it in many other modules to explain what it is and how to use it. At least it's a minimal documentation for each module.
So what's the status of work on syncing Azure groups and roles back to Orchard? Is anybody?
Yep. So this module, I wanted to do it in 2 steps. So I added the module in one commit. It's in a branch Azure Auth, and I have the code from David Christ about doing the synchronization. So for instance, in the controller, if I open it, for those who are familiar with the code, you will see that in the radio system module, there is only one authentication service, but now with this controller, there is also that. You see, membership service, repository, so this thing has to be removed, but there is some refactoring to do, but there is more code. So I have also the module updated with the group synchronization. And I want to do it in another commit so that we can see what's the difference between the original module and the upgrade, the updated feature. Yeah, actually I'd open it there. That's the status, if that answers the question.
Yeah, that's good.
So I have the code.
Just curious. I mean, I know you'd mentioned several times that there was work being done on it, and I didn't know.
I have it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Sebastian, is this the module that's that we're waiting for before we can do the 110 release?
Yes, unless we postpone this module to a 1.10.1, which we could do.
Well, it would be a 1.11 then, don't you think?
Why?
Because we've said that the minor version increases are just for bug fixes, right?
Nope, we didn't say that. We changed it like 2 months ago. We talked about it for half an hour. If it's even a new feature, doesn't break anything, safe, boom.
I see.
So yes, it's a major new feature, but or we do it before, but I don't know.
When do you estimate that it'll be done?
So porting the code should be easy. Okay, I've already started porting the code, but testing and ensuring it works, hoping there are no issues, I don't know. So I have no estimate right now. I haven't even tried the default module, but they are using it. So I will try to port the changes to synchronize the group and see how it's working.
I just recall a while back when we were discussing the versioning strategies for the major and the minor versions, we said, and I think we pretty much agreed, that we shouldn't let individual features block the long cycled releases. So if we should do them more often, and if we, as long as we have something interesting to release, we should try to do it and keep the dev branch in a releasable state at all times. So I just like to kind of remind us about that decision that we made, and maybe we should think about maybe getting 1.10 out the door, even if that means.
Yeah, because making this new module a 1.10.1 or 1.11 is a different discussion. We could still ship 1.10 and say, okay, it's just a number. And what do we ship with 1.11 or what do we ship with 1.10.1?
Right.
Yes. Yeah, and I made it on a branch, so it's not blocking.
Which is good.
Okay, so it's not blocking 1.10. If it's ready without that, it's ready without that. We still have some, I want to talk about it for the release plan. We still have some blocking ones for 1.10. Okay. I bumped it too high. It was medium for 5.2, but I bumped it too high because 4.5.1 is the more supported. It's kind of stupid to ship with a non-supported .NET framework. So I think we should ship 1.10 with 4.5.2. And it's on Windows Update. This one.
I think they added 4.5.2 also now to the websites and the cloud services and all of the Azure services, correct?
Yeah, yes, because it's on Windows Update since like at least 6 months. It must be everywhere also on Azure.
Right.
So it's a mandatory Windows Update deployment 4.5.2. That's why 4.5.1 is not supported anymore. Maybe question to Bertrand. I didn't find it on the .NET blog. Which version of .NET is forced by Windows Update? Is it 4.5.2 or is it 4.6? I don't know. I don't think it's 4.6, but I'm sure
4.6 hasn't showed up in any Windows updates for me. It's just all been 4.5.2 on all my production servers.
So now it's 4.6.
I can ask.
Because the 4.5.1 announcement was on the .NET blog, and then I looked. Okay, maybe they announced it also for the new ones, but I didn't find it.
So why? Why does it matter?
It matters because we can only force a version that is also forced on Windows Update.
Okay.
Because this way we are sure that every server is up to date with the framework. We can't go further.
Right.
So if Windows Update already installs 4.5x, then instead of doing the work for 4.5.2, we'll do directly for 4.5x.
Yeah, what I can tell you is that currently the supported versions are 4.5.2 and 4.6.
6 and 6.1.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure which one Windows Update forces.
Okay.
If it's 4.5.6, I'm not sure about it because even in September they were fixing some bugs. I mean, this is why there is 4.6.1. If it's 4.5.6, we can go directly to 4.5.6. That's fine because we are sure that everyone has 4.5.6. Sorry, 4.6, not 4.5.6. But if not, then it will be 4.5.2 because this is some work to change on all the modules. This one, I'm not sure what it's a blocking one.
I have a script to do that, actually, to change the framework version of all the modules, because we do it quite frequently with our own fork. So I could take care of that one if we decide to do it.
Yeah, like you did for 450, I think, last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one I will check. This one Daniel was asking, is it done already? Like a script timeout for the recipes? I thought so too.
Yes, I think you can configure it now in host components.config.
Okay.
And the default, yeah, because I've seen the default values in there. They've been bumped to like 1800 seconds now for both of these. So I think it's done.
Cannot clone content items with identity providers. Zoltan knows about it because he's been added more identity parts and knows the clone feature. Nope, doesn't seem to be fixed. And then this one is just about, this should be easy, it's just about calling those methods, arrange and some things somewhere else. So that should be easy. So this is just the blocking things in 1.10, not that hard to do. And for 193, more, but so support for attachments. So feature messaging, this won't be blocking 193. So this should not be tagged 193. This should be tagged X. Tenant with virtual root should be handled consistently. So this is, yeah. Yeah, so one of the URLs when you use // should be changed, so it shouldn't be that hard. This one is a new bug. This one, email queues, will be easy to reproduce and fix. If it's still the case, because it might be fixed automatically by Jean-Thierry's changes about the HTTP context and WAR context. Layouts manage layout content from Jamie. Seems blocking. I will look at it. This one, bug in export. Okay, fix included. And this one, I don't remember. So this one was about duplicated key in the table, in the content item table. And there was Gustavo also in the, yes, in the issue. So I don't know if we said, yeah, two different users edited on one document at the same time. So we have an open issue for that, which is a task. So I think we should postpone this one, not block on 193 for that, because it's an existing issue. We have a task assigning GitHub to define what we need to do. So I don't think we should block on this one. I will still mark it high, but not on 1.3. Maybe something. Oh yes, dev branch, MVC5. MVC5. It's been 2 years. Even the 19x branch is an MVC5. So okay, so yeah, we jumped to the release plan, but yeah, the release. So then the release plan is to ship, start shipping 193. which means issues for shipping. Ship blockers.
Should we create release branches for those two and fix the ship blockers in those branches?
So what did we do last time?
Because that way people can still work on new features in the dev and 19x branch without affecting, potentially introducing something that would block us from shipping even further.
Okay. I know we said something last time, and I will say the same thing, but I don't remember, and it looks good. So, release branches. I think this is what we did last time. Yes. Okay, release branches to be created. Yes, we created the branches 193 and yeah, okay. So we'll create the branches 110 and 193, right? Let's call it this way, and we keep okay. That will be good. What else?
Update the version numbers.
This is part of the This is okay. This is something I do the last commit before shipping. I updated the versions.
Mm-hmm.
And big find and replace. Yeah, there is a bug. We need to be sure it's blocking the one that I asked Sipke to create last week, which was about the package, precompiled package or something like that Sipke created. Can I say from something? Skywalker. 3 days ago. If you have it on the chat.
I think maybe you can type by : SFN Skywalker. Just one S. Yeah. No, doesn't work. Okay.
He created it right after last week, so it was the 5th, 7 days ago. Yes, this one. Signed to me, and the milestone is 193. No, it was 19 next, so that we can also already deploy that. But okay, if we can deploy a new version, then it will fix everything. Okay, let's focus on that. Good. Did I miss something? So NuGet, we were status. The release plan is defined now. Update roadmap. We haven't done it since 192. At least to know what are the new features. Okay.
Also, maybe I saw something else that seems to be lagging behind. Maybe it's the start page when you get to orchardproject.net. I think it has an old version number there listed or something.
Start page? Which
yeah. No, actually that one's correct now. Where it says on orchardproject.net in the top right corner it says Orchard 192 is here. So that seems to be up to date.
This is something this is part of the boring tasks whenever we ship a new version and I have a big grid of what needs to be done. Let me show you for your information. Orchard, let me show you how I do that. Release is 192, so this is what needs to be done. But the release process, there is a OneDrive file that Bertrand created, I think, a while back. And you see for each version, task list, and who does that and what. Pre-release on GitHub, publish release, update WebPI gallery, write release notes, make release public and default. This was on Codeplex, maybe also on GitHub. Update homepage widget, download page, Codeplex on page, update advisory page, send mail to list, there is no more list, send mail to forum, so Codeplex, tweet, update roadmap. And it's like, okay, then, so it takes, yeah.
I think I remember now what it was. It was the README file in the repo.
Okay, so let's update, let's add it, update, because I don't have it, update editing browser. This way it won't be forgotten. Update README. Yes, this is, we fixed it. Oh yeah, we fixed it 2 weeks ago. Someone made a pull request, and I targeted master explicitly because the changes on README MD should be done on master. Okay, good. So now you know what has to be done when we ship. And this script is to create a SHA-1 hash of the package that we ship on the web application gallery. So because they check that the package we point to is correct. Okay, so we were on the meetings thing. Get roadmap. Good. Go back to status. Where are we? Grab changes for the NuGet thing. Okay, fix that when editing blog post permission were mistakenly checked for the blog instead of the post. Okay, makes sense. Catch. Styling general, that's the admin, the admin, that's NuGet, the admin, NuGet, the admin, and Thursday's pull request, triage. So navigation manager, there was an issue how tilde slash was handled with hash. So if it was tilde slash hash, then there was an issue, so it's fixed. Net P9C like created 5 or 10 pull requests. This one was to do a check on the content permission module. It was missing a check. Just yeah, but it's the safe. It was a safe missing. Like it was not granting in some cases. So now it's done. This one was the changes on the output cache. Daniel reviewed it and said good to go, so good to go. Just to optimize the locking in the end of the output cache. And output cache. Something at some point I will start working on Orchard 2. And yeah. Yeah, and I checked this, nothing rated. So this output cache, I checked the performance on my machine this morning, just on the default homepage. I could get like 400 requests per second with the output cache. And this is the perf we get without output cache on Orchard 2 right now. And with the new output cache on Orchard 2, which will be an OWIN module, it should be like thousands of requests per second instead of 400. It should be good. Fix import export.
We should try and get up to the Kestrel limit of 1.25 million.
No, we won't be, because Kestrel is just returning plain text in this test on a machine dedicated with like hundreds of cores and thousands of gigabytes of memory. So that's different. So when you see a request per second, you can just compare those numbers on the same machine. If I give you 3 requests per second, you'll say it's crap. Yes, but it was on my phone, so it was good, you know. So you can't give an absolute number like this. If you want more explanation, you'll ask Bertrand, he will give, I'm sure. Better than me. So this one, where was I? Filter, fix import export command. I took it because it was a safe check, but this should also be fixed by the changes from Jean-Thierry about the HTTP context, which should be not null anymore on the background tasks. Still doesn't hurt to check. Merge file itself, the merge itself, the merge itself. Oh, this is some refactoring from Jean-Thierry about the work context. We trust him. refactoring. Good. Update layout editor. What is that? Oh, this is the. Oh no, this is on 19x. So apparently the page was not using translations correctly. So this is fixed. Daniel approved and merged it, and this is a new branch with the radio system module. Good questions. Oh, is warm-up module still alive on 19x? It's still there. It still works. I don't know anyone who is really using it for what it's supposed to do. It's supposed, so it does two things. Well, it does two things. When requests arrive on the startup of the application, it will put everyone in a waiting list and start Orchard. But at the same time, if there is a static file that on the file system that contains the a cached value of the request that is sent while starting the web app, which can take 15 seconds, then it will return this static file while the app is starting it. It also contains a feature to create those static versions of the pages, like on the schedule, like every 5 minutes it will take the home page or whatever pages you want and serialize them on the file system, so that on the next startup you can serve this file while it's starting the web app. And I don't know anyone who is using that actually. Well, what are you doing? Oh, you're talking about perf?
Yeah, just talking about Casper.
Yeah, meaningless. Yeah, in many ways, like it's interesting. Yeah, it's a way for them to improve the perf. The number itself is meaningless, meaning, well, just try to plug a database and do one query to the database. You will handle maybe 500 request transactions per second on your machine or on the server or on Azure, which means whatever performance you have behind that, it will still be the bottleneck. So they can get 1 million, 10 million, 1,000 trillion. You will still have the limit of the bottleneck, which will be the database, if you do database, and then the file system. And then, so what is good is that the web server is no more, or is not, I don't know if it was, but it's not a bottleneck. That's the only thing that we can get. And also it's good for them because they know what to do to improve every other stack like MVC. And MVC is also working really hard on performance, I can tell you. And that's also important. But at the same time, what MVC is doing and reaching thousands of requests per second, even with routing and Razor and everything, which they do today. Same thing. Once you get a new application, a real application with database access, then the bottleneck is still your database access and your code. It's not MVC, and that's good. That's good that MVC or the web server are not the bottleneck, but your application. At least you have that. Everyone agrees? Good. Yeah. Demos, Zoltan, you first. You're not presenter. Wait.
Okay. Yeah, please make me one. I'm now presenter. Okay, there is this thing here. Present desktop. Just let me know when you can see it. I've already talked about Azure Application Insights and the Azure Application Insights module that we have created. And what I would like to very quickly show you is an update to that. Can you see my screen? Alright, cool. So if you don't remember or if you don't know Azure Application Insights, it's part of the Azure offering. You can try it for free, and it's basically an application performance monitoring service. It can also provide all sorts of even custom telemetry to your application. It's a bit like New Relic. Now, what was missing from the module that we have created to be able to quickly integrate Azure Application Insights into an Orchard application is that it couldn't do so-called dependency tracking. In Application Insights terms, dependency is everything that that's an external resource, a resource external to the application. Actually, the file system is not counted as such, or at least it's not tracking it, but remote HTTP calls and database calls are tracked as such. So what you can do with Azure Application Insights, and what you can now also do with this module, is that you can track, for example, SQL calls. To show you an example, this is just a test Azure Application Insights account I have here. And since dependency tracking generates a lot of items, let me show you an example that I have pre-filtered here, and then I will show it in action as well. For example, what you can see is entries like this. So we can see that this is an SQL call to localhost, obviously because I've done it on my local machine. We can see a few performance data about it. Well, we are talking about picosecond level performance because, again, it's just a local SQL server, but you will see meaningful performance data on an application or from an application that uses a remote SQL server, like any Azure application using SQL Azure. And we can also see the statement. Furthermore, we can also connect this this dependency operation to other telemetry. So if I open up this here, I should be able to see, for example, the request. So to get back, I clicked all telemetry for this operation here, and now the search has brought up, well, all the other SQL dependency telemetry data that corresponds to this operation and the request. So here we can see that actually this was the request to multi-tenancy /admin /index on the admin that caused this SQL call to be executed. And when we open the request, so now we are going the other way around, then we will be able to see all the dependency calls as well, nicely listed. So these are all the SQL queries that are executed for this request. Pretty nice. And for example, if I go to the content page here, I wanted to show you this because this was a simple page with just a few queries. But for example, if I open up a content editor and hit publish, now this will fire a lot of requests. So let's see what happens. Unfortunately, it takes some time for the data to appear in Application Insights. So now I'm going back to the search where all the telemetry is gathered or listed, and hit a refresh. And by now our call should be listed here, but it's not yet, unfortunately. Maybe this was something related. Yeah, of course you can also see exceptions here, but I've already shown this before. Probably this was something that happened now. I'm not sure. You can see this is a select again, and it goes to common part. So this was one of the queries that loaded common part. So presumably this was one of the queries that happened when I opened the content item. Yeah. So here we see all the telemetry again for this operation. So we should be able to find out the request that caused this, and it was actually the content list on the admin. So everything we see here happens when you click content on the admin. So that was in a nutshell. You don't have to do anything for this to work. Just after we enable the module, you have to also enable the dependency tracking here, because it's quite costly. It sends a lot of data, and that means that, of course, it has an impact on the performance. So quite ironically, and also it will fill up your application insights logs, which is only free for 10 million or something like this items. Any questions?
Very cool stuff. Is it free?
Yes.
Yes. Well, the module itself is open source, of course. So that's yes. Application Insights is free to a degree. So as I mentioned, I'm not sure 10 something, 10 million or 10,000, but I would presume 10 million data points you can gather in a month. And that's free. And there are a few limits on what you can do in the free version as well. But we have never reached it, and we don't have the need to pay for it.
I was thinking about your module, but that's open source and free, and we can just use it.
Yeah, so I've also pasted a link into the chat window.
Very cool.
The GitHub repo.
One question: how do you manage the dependencies to the application insights libraries in your module? Do you use GitHub for that now, or have you embedded it in? Oh, I see a lib folder there.
Yeah, that's a very up-to-date question. Since this is for Orchard 1.9.x, of course everything is embedded yet.
Yeah.
But we will change to NIGATS with 1.10.
Right.
Cool.
Nice.
Make a
All
pull
right.
request for core.
Thanks for watching.
And 2 questions. Is there anyone from Bit Gaming right now on the meeting?
Let me see if I can.
Nobody.
spot
I don't see anyone.
I don't recognize any.
Okay. Okay. Second question. What are you talking about, Bertrand? On the chat, I'm completely lost.
You use the word digress,
And
which
also
probably means it's not relevant.
post hoc and Kessel and what is that?
It's a stupid discussion about Star Wars. It's really not important.
Oh, when you say
he's making
Abrams
things.
shot 7, okay, I'm like, J.J. Abrams shot Star Wars 7, okay. I was like, what are they talking about? Okay, cool. Okay, my turn to present. I already started it. Okay, sometimes. So I will follow Nick's advice or request and show the status. Same thing here. Refactored shape cache. So I showed you last week, I showed you shape caching. Oh yes, I refactored it, but you will see with the demo. I refactored how to, oh yeah, many things. Oh yeah, so many things to show. Crap. Explicitly set default iMemory cache lifetime. Yes, interesting, this one. iMemory cache in MVC, well, in ASP.NET 5 is integrated automatically, is registered automatically by MVC6, but is registered not with the lifetime we expect because we have tenants and we need one per tenant, so we need to re-register it per tenant. But that's okay. Implementing iDynamic cache. What is that?
Hey Sebastian, I was thinking about the whole MVC registration, and I kind of feel like we probably should put it at the tenant level and not at the application level.
Later.
Because I'm worried that things inside are probably going to cross tenants.
Later. We'll see.
All right.
Up in the list. It will come. So this one is an abstraction on the dynamic cache so that we can have a custom implementation for dynamic cache, meaning a custom storage. Meaning by default it was using distributed cache, but maybe you want to store on the file system for your shaped cache, or to store on the database, to store on Redis, but your full pages, you want to store them somewhere else. So instead of using the same implementation, which is iDistributed cache, I did a new interface, iDynamic cache, so that you can implement it using the storage you want, and by default, it will use the iDistributed cache. Okay, it's just a way to have different implementation for each kind of cache. I added the tag cache, which is a way to invalidate every fragment or every page based on custom tags. And I forgot I had done that.
With the with like the file provider stuff and all that, they kind of use a pattern where you pass in an array of I something or other. Do we want to do the same with iDynamic cache, where you implement an I distributed cache interface, and then it just gets injected in as an array of whatever. Do you see what I mean?
You'll show me. No.
Okay.
No, you'll show me. So I tag cache, and I have some examples here. So, oh yeah, I didn't show it to you last week? Did I show you the widget and widget 2? I showed it to Bertrand, but I don't know if I showed it at the meeting. Maybe not. No, I didn't. I will show you. So shape tag helpers, you don't. Yes, I will show you. Oh, stupid. I will just show you, and then fuck the status. Please forgive my French. Then demo cache home cache. So this page I showed last week, but I didn't show it this way. It was full of code, like new shape dot cache dot whatever. Now I integrated the cache tags with the tag helpers. So this thing will just render the outer doll shape just by calling outer doll. And because there is shape called outer doll, it will render that. And if I want to cache this shape, I just define cache ID, and I give it a unique name. And I say for 5 seconds. Okay. And then br new line and outer doll. Again, another shape. Okay, another tag, so another shape, but the same cache ID. So it will actually reuse the content rendered from this one. So there will be only one call to the rendering of the shape, if it's not cached, and this one will just render the same thing again on the same page. Okay, because it will use the same cache ID. But if I said outer doll 2, it will be two different instances of cache. Then a row and two widgets. Two widget shape, one with title widget 1 and one with title widget 2. So the convention is, if you add a property to a shape, then it will add this property into the shape instance in the model. And it will reverse kebab case it. Meaning if you have title dash foo, you will have a property T uppercase title without dash F uppercase foo. Okay, it's reverse kebab casing. Cache ID to cache it, a cache context to define different values for the widget for each user, and a cache tag so that we can invalidate this widget when the signal widget is sent. This one is based on the foo tag on the query, and it will be invalidated by the widget tag and also the widget 2 tag. The two of them are invalidated by the same widget tag. Demo. So this is the cache page. Okay. And so in the cache page, I have outer doll and again outer doll, the same one. Outer doll, as a reminder from last week, will render an inner doll for 10 seconds, which itself will render a lower doll. Inner doll renders the lower doll for 15 seconds. So the result being, this is the view. Every time I hit F5, I have a new sequence here. You see, it's incrementing. Outer doll is this GUID, and we'll see if it's cached or not, which renders the inner doll at 51 seconds, which renders the lower doll at 51 seconds. This thing is the same shape as this outer doll because I was using the same cache ID. Okay, these are the two widgets which have different GUIDs. Okay, so F5, they are all invalidated. F5 again, they are all the same, cached, all the same, all the same. No, this one has been invalidated after 5 seconds, so this one has been regenerated again. But this one was not regenerated. Oh yes, they were. But let me show you when it happens. Just 5 seconds. 10. You see, 10 seconds, this one has been regenerated, but not this one. Even though this one is inside this one. So that's it. So widgets now. Widgets, one of them was not, is depending on the query string. So foo 12. So you see this one and you see this one. So you see the one on the right varies by query string foo. The one on the left is still the same. If you look at the GUID. So this is the context of this thing, cache context. Now cache tag. Cache tag lets us invalidate in real time some data from the cache, like in the output cache in Orchard 1. So there is a tag page, and I can just, okay, let me show it to you. So F5, F5, F5 is always the same. I will invalidate the widget2 tag, so this one. I just type widget2, which will call the tag service and say invalidate widget2, and everything which is related to this tag will be invalidated, whatever it is. So I did it. F5, you see this one regenerated. And if I went on foo12, there will be also a new value because the two of them have been cached with the same tag. And now if I want to invalidate the two of them, I will use the common tag, which is widget, go, and then I F5, and the two of them have new values. Because when I define the widgets, I both tagged them with the same widget tag. Okay. So technically, well, practically what we'll do is when we render something based on content, we'll tag with something like content ID 12. So when we update content ID 12, everything which was displaying that will update that. Okay. I heard the noise. If you have questions, please. So this was about the tagging for shapes. That's it. What else did I miss? Dynamic cache, memory lifetime, refactored. Yeah, it's just the way you, well, refactored plus these things. Okay, this is better to, well, first it's tag helpers, and then it's easy to render them with caching. Then fixing multi-tenancy, who cares? It was broken. This one, Nick was asking the question. This is a change I made. So MVC was registered for every tenant, which means all the MVC services were registered on each of the tenants. Even the compilation, which means if you compile something from a tenant, you go on the other tenant, you access the same view, it will recompile and have another assembly in memory. So it's not scalable. So for now, it's at the main level. If there are services that we need to instantiate per tenant, we'll look at them one by one. But by default, I enabled MVC at the full level, at the top level. I understand, Nick, your concern, and we'll see where the issues are. So this is Jean-Thierry fixing some stuff. Extension manager to optimize, yes, to cache the extensions for loading, so it's making the setup faster, the startup faster. Recipes, so Nick's still working on recipe. I also helped him on some things, I'm blocking, but so it's going on, and it's looking good so far. So now we are looking at making it simpler compared to Orchard 1.
Yeah, all the recipes, by the way, guys, are going to be in JSON instead of XML. Ignore change tabular setup, we don't care. Upgrading a SQL to fix an issue with the recipes. Better attributes, we saw that. Implementing eye content. So this is the new thing I worked on also. I implemented the full content display thing so that I have a new controller called content, and you can display a specific content item. So just to show you, when you go to the index page, this thing will create a content item with a property line equals whatever you type here. So I have a content item that I can show here. This one, let me show you. Home display 41. So this content item contains hello 4, and this controller is in the home display. Is just loading a content item from the controller. Where is the controller? Controller. So the display is display shape, display. Oh, crap. Display is taking the ID, doing content manager.get, and if it finds it, says render the content item itself, and the display gets a content item and says bind it or map it or project it to this class, okay, your data, so I can manipulate strongly typed data instead of a JSON document. And this thing has a line property. So the content item has a line property, which is hello 4 right now. Okay, so that's all you need to know. And now if I go to the content controller and say display 41, it will still display Hello 4, but it will do it differently. So the content controller, when I call display, gets the same content item. Instead of calling a view, calls content display, which is a new interface, okay, and call build display async, which is not new, which was in the content manager before. So to display a content item, you will say content manager.build display. Now you say content display.build display. So the build display, build editor, and update editor, I moved them to their custom, to their own interface, and not in the content manager itself. I think it makes much more sense, and it's an easy change, easy refactoring. I need to move because the light switched off. What the? Okay, sorry. So build display async, which, like in Orchard 1, will call all the drivers to render custom shape fragments to be part of the rendering system. And then view shape, and this shape is in the end a content shape, like in Orchard 1, and we render this one. And the content shape, like in Orchard 1, is here, and we'll render the content item class, we render a header zone, a metadata zone, a content zone, a footer zone, and whatever you want in your contents. Okay, so it's doing the same thing. And it's the same thing, so there is the same thing as drivers, but they are more generic, or so far there is no driver like content part drivers, but there are the notion of drivers. And I have one here. I call them so far content element display because they can display anything, not just parts, fields, anything. The idea being we use the same infrastructure for fields, for parts, or layout elements, or whatever you want. So there is one single concept, which is a content element display, which returns a shape. We will be able to create very specific ones for content parts, content fields, for helpers to help us code more easily, but they are content element display. And there is an interface. This is just an abstract class to provide some simple helpers. So a content element display, and this one doesn't say you want to handle the test content part. It's just called, and it says, oh, can I map this content to a test content part A? Yes. So then let's return some shapes. And to show you whatever you can do, I created 5 different calls. There is also the editor and the update. But let's look at the display. So it is displaying 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines because I'm rendering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 shapes in a combine, like in Orchard 1 drivers. First call is a new shape based on a type and a model. So this is new. Most of the things here are new, but more convenient for drivers. So this one will create a shape of this type, okay, and take all the things on this model and assign the properties from this model to the shape properties. So because the test content part has a line property, oh, this is wrong by the way, just think about the line property, it will create the line property with the same value on the shape itself. So if I go to the test content part A CSHTML, I am able to do model.line. Okay, because the line property has been copied from the part, let's call it the part, to the shape. We don't have to duplicate manually the things. And then these are some constants I will show you after, but this is how it's done. And it's rendered here in the content location. So far there is no placement info management, so you define the location in the driver. This is the default location, like in Orchard 1. And if you have a placement, it will take the one from your placement. But by default, if you don't have a placement, it will be in content. So just content for now. Now, the same thing without a model. So it's just a new shape without any property.
So, sorry.
Yep.
Sorry. Just for this. So this means that currently you have default placement for every shape, or you have to still specify a location here?
Yes. If I don't specify location, there is no placement at all, so it won't be displayed.
Okay. So just as is.
Like Orchard 1. But I wanted to show something, so yes, there is no default, but this one, I call it the default, because if there is no placement info, this is the one that will be taken. I misuse the word default, correct. So this one just display lower doll at location footer. So this is this one. Okay, this is at the bottom. On the footer, I can show you. Inspect the footer of the content shape. Okay, so this is this one in the footer tag, which is in the content shape, the article, because we also have the footer at the layout. And the footer at the layout is done here, shape lowerDOL, so the same shape type, but a new instance, location slash footer, like an Orchard one, to target the footer in the layout, which is somewhere here. You see footer of the layout, lowerDOL, this one. So we can still do that. Then the shape, this one, a shape type, then an initialization code for the shape. This is the one creating the shape. So if you just provide a string, the initializer of the shape will be inferred by the type. It will just create a new shape of type that. Okay, a new shape class of type that using the .new thing like this. But you can provide your own initializer if you want to provide a shape with some properties. Like, okay, I want to create a shape with a property creating, which is creating ++, which is a static integer, just to count how many times it goes into the creation. Okay, and then you can also optionally provide some processing code, something. Let me explain the difference. So this one is already in Orchard 1. And this is the one we are mostly using in Orchard 1. And this one is called if the shape is ever displayed. So we have a shape result with a shape type, but this call in Orchard 1 will only be executed if the placement is not nothing. So this is a way to create drivers for many things, even expensive code, but only if the part is itself displayed. So return a view result with a lambda to execute if the thing is displayed. Okay, and this is the same as today, as in Orchard 2. So we just call this one if it is displayed. But now there is a new thing in Orchard 2, which is a cache. So when we cache the shape and on rendering, because we need to render it, we need a shape instance, we will check if this shape instance should be rendered or not. Okay, because of the cache. So we need a second call, which is the initializer. And this is where now so you can still have some expensive code in the creation based on placement, because this thing will be true or false based on placement, but this thing will be true or false based on cache. So if your data has been cached, this thing won't be called. If it hasn't been cached, this thing will be called. Then there is placement. If it's placed somewhere, then this will be called. If it's not placed, this won't be called. Okay, because you could have placed something without even being cached. So there are two different lambdas now. And also because we need a shape instance, even if the cache is not running. So we need to separate the two statements. So this one will be called only if the cached value is not existing. So if it really has to render it. And it's async because it can contain blocking I/O. This one should not block. It's just a constructor on some shape, so it's not async. This one is async. So I'm returning a completed task. Yeah. So that's it. So this one, the shape test content part A, will be placed at content also, but after this one because it's called after. And cache, so dot cache with the ID, which is wrong, but you don't care, it's lower. And for 5 seconds. And then you can also do dot context or add context, add tag, and add dependency. Okay, just to manage how the item is cached. And this way, look at that. You see, creating, processing. This is from the one here, which is not cached. And this one with the values strongly typed. Creating 1, processing 1. This was the first call. So I will refresh, creating 2, processing 2. So the cache was not present again. But now I hit F5 and we have more creating than processing. You see 15 creating, but just 4 processing. So it has been displayed out of cache 4 times, but the shape has been created 15 times. So this thing has been called 15 times to create the shape to be rendered, but this thing only 4 times because it was actually rendered, processed 4 times because it was out of cache because of this thing every 5 seconds. Okay, so this works pretty well. This one is another way to create a shape based on a class. So now you can create, let's say, a strongly typed shape by inheriting from shape. And I provide a property which will map my part, but I don't have to. And I say, create me a shape based on this thing. So I don't need the type anymore. I don't need the initializer because it's just a new class, new something. And then I just need to provide some processing code so that this thing will be called the same thing as this one whenever it's rendered. So when it's rendered, I'm assigning a value. I could take it from the content item or whatever. It's just a strongly type. The big difference is that now that test content part A shape, it will find a shape template test content part A shape, and you can pass the shape as the strongly type as the model and use it directly. So people have been asking for that, and now it's supported. We could also add it in Orchard 1 actually. It's not that hard to do, very easy. So you can have strongly typed shape if you want. Starting new, and this one is just to show location on the layout, and everything works beautifully. Caching, placement, everything. Then build editor, same thing as in Orchard 1. If I go to the controller, to the content controller, and I go edit, I just load the content item. I just say build editor async, and I get a shape which is a content edit shape with zones. So your build editor will need to render display for editing, shapes for editing, and I'm just returning. So the difference between Orchard 1 and Orchard 2 here is that we render a shape, not the editor template shape, but any shape you want. So we just return a shape, or we could also return multiple shapes like we do for the display if you have multiple things to render for the editor. We give it a name, test content part A.edit. We give it a model. This is the same call here. So what it will do is create this shape and assign all the properties from there to there. And the location, content, same thing as in display. Go on if you have questions. And the edit here is just saying render an input with the model.line value. So the line properties of the shape, which is the thing taken from the content part, which is this thing. And then the update editor. So let me go to edit. Works, hello 4. Now the content editor, the update editor, I change it, feel free to disagree. It's not returning a display result anymore, it's just updating. And this one is async. So again, this one is not async because it's just returning some factories very quickly, no blocking. This one is async because it could load something from database, or it does also update the model synchronously. So this one is async and just returns nothing. You update, boom, and you use the updater to define the error models, the model errors. So same thing, we load the content, we map it to a test content part, which will be our model, and then we can model bind the form to this new object we have here. This is not the content item, this is just a projection of the content item to this part. So we update it with a prefix. Here I didn't use a prefix. And then if it worked, we apply the changes from this model to the content item by calling .weld. It was a demo I did like 2 months ago. The other solution will be to say content item.alter, and there is a lambda inside that you can change the content item directly by updating it. But I use this pattern right now. Try update model. If it worked, okay, you could update this model, bind it to the content item, update the content item with this thing. Okay, update. And what the controller does is on the edit it's building the editor and rendering it. On the post of the edit it's loading the content item. It's calling update to update the content item, and then it's calling save to update the changes that has been done to the content item, and then redirecting to the edit form. So if I do hello 5 submit, redirecting to the edit on get, which is displaying the content item, which itself is in the database. Here, this one, you see content item ID 41, and we should have hello 5. Okay, so updated. Can be faster. Well, we don't have any load or whatever, but I don't think we have that one so far. So this is to display the editor, and if I say submit, yeah, It's beautiful. That's it. Questions? Or did I miss?
That's pretty cool. That's pretty
very
awesome, dude.
So Umbraco has not started vNext work and won't start before. So Umbraco is currently working on their V8, which is a refactor of their V7. So it's just pure MVC5, still the same. They are just creating a V8 for breaking changes and to remove all the APIs. They haven't started working on vNext, and they won't start before releasing their new V8 version, which will be around June. And after that, they might start working on that. What else?
.NET Nuke. They've also started, haven't they?
They haven't. Forget about the Nuke on vNext. I don't think it's. So the issue being that Sean Walker is not working anymore at .NET Nuke, and Charles Nurse, who was the architect, has left .NET Nuke 3 months ago and was maintaining the. So I'm not sure they are working on that right now.
Okay.
I don't know who is moving to ASP.NET 5 in terms of .NET CMSs. There are not that many .NET CMSs, and yeah, I don't know. I know for Orchard for sure, but that's the only one I know about. Maybe there will be new ones, which is different. People might start CMSs on ASP.NET 5, which I would assume will happen for sure. Other questions? Maybe Bertrand knows about them. I don't know.
Can you say something about the general, where we are in the general progress of creating a complete product on this platform? Because basically you've been doing framework level stuff so far, I guess. So.
And I will just think maybe a plan could be like we did in Orchard 1, V1.0, to just release a framework to build modules on top of that. That would be my recommendation, just to ship a V1 once the framework is ready, like we did on Orchard 1.
Mm.
And then people have all the bits to create their modules, to migrate the modules from Orchard 1. And I can't honestly work on some modules like the blogs or whatever, projections, until we have all the bits from the framework.
Yeah, because it's important for the framework to be stable enough to not be so much of a moving target when you start migrating modules across. So it makes sense to spend some time on locking it down and getting it solid.
At the same time, building modules will show some issues. Perf, API, limitations, things like that.
Yeah, maybe we should try and include at least like one or two proof of concept modules.
Yeah, so we have lots of framework modules to migrate. So Nick was working on the recipe, which is pretty important. We have the authentication part, which is pretty important. The admin, the dashboard, defining the themes for the admin, and but we already I showed it last time. But you were not here, Daniel. But we also have the admin already working. Let me show you. And the themes module, admin index. So this one is the theme admin. Is the admin, which is using a different theme and with some settings, so you can define the front end and the back end. So we have a dashboard already working with the navigation. Hey, where is my navigation? There should be navigation here.
Probably cached.
It disappeared. Okay, I have to fix it. So yeah, modules are framework modules have to be integrated. This is not that hard. And then, yeah, we can start working on an actual content managed module. Maybe the first one will be content type definitions, just to create types, fields, parts, and manage content dynamically based on that. And
what do you think are going to be some of the big changes that are going to hit people that you're going to have to change in your modules to bring them over?
Data access, because it's a different mindset. It's a document. It's no more a set of records, and that should be about it. Because drivers are still the same. It's just a different syntax. There is cache, so you need to think about cache out of the box.
Do you have to use the new tag helpers to display shapes, or can you use the old syntax?
Yeah, this was just look at that. So the cache where is my It's exactly like before, but I just wanted to use that to show you. So home cache open containing folder. Where is that? Where is open content?
You have to click the folder.
No. Maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
Yes,
weird.
it's there.
Right click.
Right-click folder and then open
Okay,
and
now
export.
it works. Okay, it was. And then cache, and then file history, and then diff. So this was the code before. Shape equals new dot outer doll. Shape metadata equals shape dot metadata. So this is the same thing. It's just at some point I said, okay, let's try with tag helpers, and I just changed that.
Yep.
So that's exactly the same thing. And you see dot cache, dot context, dot tag, and that's. Someone else wanted to say something.
Have you demoed any of this internally?
No, nobody cares. No, that's not true. No, I haven't. I'm working in my corner on that. Last Antoine tweeted about it, Nick saw that too. They mentioned Orchard in the ASP.NET stand-up meeting, the public one they do on Google Hangout, and because someone was asking about multi-tenancy, and they mentioned Orchard was doing that, so they say look at Orchard, what Orchard is doing. So the same tagline as in Orchard 1 as in MVC 5. If you want to look at multi-tenancy, don't look at MVC, look at what Orchard is doing, because this is what we suggest you to do. Yep. That's it.
Maybe we could maybe abstract multi-tenancy out a bit more so that if people did want to use it, then they could.
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, we don't want. It's another
I
issue.
don't know. We've got it's quite self-contained at the moment. There's no reason why.
Yeah.
We couldn't.
I documented the on GitHub for an issue on MVC. I explained how it was done, but it's more an explanation of how you should do it than how you do it.
Okay.
Yeah, people all have different issues in multi-tenancy. I don't think anyone creating a multi-tenant application, but Orchard, needs dynamically loaded features and services for each tenant. Most people who want to create multi-tenant apps, this is the same app for everyone, but different isolated databases, isolated users, but they have the same services for everyone. Like I have a bakery multi-tenant app. It's the same bakery application for everyone. It's just a multi-tenant app. Our case, every tenant can have different services. That's much harder.
Yeah, but the way that we've structured it, that one piece of middleware that pretty much.
This is the same. Yeah, I totally agree. The modularware thing should be the same, but it's just 10 lines of
Exactly. I'm wondering if that maybe we could take that and put it into. I don't know.
Oh.
Who cares? Yeah. But...
And we'll tell them use AutoFac instead of using the internal dependency injection because it will be easier. So yeah.
Are we still using AutoFac in this?
No, we are not. We are just we have not a single external dependency so far.
Oh.
I'm not proud of it, but it's a challenge. I was trying to push the limits of ASP.NET 5 and MVC6 to see what we can do and what we cannot do. For instance, I'm doing dynamic proxies without Castle. I'm doing dynamic proxy using a project that is on ASP.NET 5 that creates simple dynamic proxies for the event bus. So the event bus is using the dynamic proxies. So whenever you resolve a I event handler, you're actually resolving a dynamic proxy, which will itself call all the implementation of I event handler. Because when we're registering all the event handlers, we know them, we are building a dynamic proxy to call them specifically. So this is an example.
So then if not AutoFac, then what are we using for DI?
Because ASP.NET 5 comes with some default DI.
Oh, so we're using that one. Okay.
Yes, which is pretty fast actually. It's like 10 times faster than AutoFac. But there are some other which are also 10 times faster than this one.
And what about data access?
We're using YesSQL.
Right.
On Dapper.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you see documents here, because it's we are using YesSQL. We are using YesSQL for indexing the documents and querying the documents. We are using anything we want for storing the content. In this case, I use database, but we can use Redis, we can use whatever on the file system, memory, to a bus, a hub, whatever you want, a cache to store the content. So these documents are just plain JSON stored in the table.
And for the actual data access, you're just using ADO.NET directly?
No, Dapper, the micro-ORM.
Ah, okay.
And so so for instance, you see this one, content item index. This is the one for content items, so we can query content items. And it just gives you from a content item ID which document it is. So you see, for instance, content item ID 41. We have multiple versions. It looks like a bug, by the way. Latest number published. Yeah, it looks like a bug. So I will look at that. You see, content item ID 41. It's document ID number 121. So 121. Then it goes to the content table and look for 121. But this document number 121, sorry, this document number 41, sorry, 121, could be in any storage. It can be anywhere, even the file system. This is just a document store, key value. And this one is an index that you can query. And to query, you use LINQ or you use SQL directly. Because it's SQL, nothing is hidden from SQL. So from the, for instance, the default content manager, when I want to query a content item, I get a session to connect to my database, and then same code as Orchard 1, same code as Orchard 1, get. You can do a get. If you have the content item ID, you still need a query to get the document ID, because it's not the same thing. The same content item ID might be represented by 10 versions of documents. So here I just say, or if you have a version record ID, you can get async content item, and with a content ID, and this one will give you the document related to this index. This is a bad example. Session, query async, you query on the content item index, and you want to return a content item matching this index. So you do that, and you do where, like a LINQ query, content item ID equals the one you want, and the option you want. And you get a document instead. So there are two steps here. There is first a query to get the document ID from the index, and then the session gets the document ID, will query the document store for this document ID to get the content item. If you use the SQL document store, you will get two queries, one to get the ID, one to get the document. Okay? But then if you plug a cached document store, then you don't even have a query to the SQL. Or if you also cache the content item and index ID, there are lots of optimization to do with this pattern.
So if you want to write a module that needs to store something that is not a document, but you want to use more traditional rows and columns, do we expose an abstraction layer for that?
No. What we expose indexing. Abstraction layer for indexing, because, let me show you. Content management. Records. We still have migrations. Okay? We still create tables and columns and everything. So this is abstraction we show. But we do that to create. Well, you can still also create tables if you want in migration. That's fine. Here I'm creating a map index table, so it has, like, for the create part table, it has some predefined logic, like create this column and whatever. But yes, you can create tables and everything like in Orchard 1, but you should not. You should use indexes.
If you do create tables, then how do you access them? How do you work with them? How do you insert into them, for example?
Then I can expose the connection here, actually, in the session. I could do that, expose that.
And if you do that, then what kind of connection is it going to be? Is it going to be a Dapper-based?
No, it's a DB SQL connection. That you can use
okay.
Dapper, and if you want to use Dapper yourself, you can. Here, Dapper is not exposed by a SQL. But you can use Dapper with the same connection from a session. The session will just give you a connection.
So you would basically give modules access to the ADO.NET level connection object. Okay.
Yeah, but I think you should use indexes and documents.
Yeah.
And you can still do SQL here. You can do on the where, you can do this one, but on this one.
I mean, for the most part, that's probably going to be the appropriate solution. I was just thinking about the weird exceptions, where you might want to drop down to the SQL layer for.
But SQL here, yes, is exposed directly because the link layer is very thin. Because here in the X, you can just access the stuff you placed here, the index type. So there is no relationship whatever. It's very thin. So this thing is converted in a raw SQL with a and 2 equals. That's easy. So you can directly pass the SQL and it is exposed. It is also even recommended if you want. So use SQL if you don't want to use a link.
Nice.
And this still multi-database support. So by default SQL Server, but we also have SQLite. Anything that Core supports is supported here. So when we build the setup service, where is that? Here, I think so. Where do I create the SQL connection? SQL Server something.
You changed this? It's different.
Here. This is how we initialize things. You create a store and you say what you want to use. And we create here a DB connection factory for SQL connection, but we can use SQLite when it's fixed in RC2 and anything.
We really need to take
and then for the storage, we create here a SQL document storage, but there are many ways to create storage. There is file system storage, there is memory storage, there is today you can use a Redis storage, you can use many storage you want to store your documents itself. You can use a cached storage on top of a SQL document storage, things like that. This way, if the document is in memory, it will load the document from memory because you have its ID. If it's not, then you example site service. Remember this thing? Here is yes and no. Example. This is a wrong example, but for this specific case. So here, because now a content item is just a POCO, there is no more link to a connection or a session or whatever. It's just something completely disconnected from the database. We can put it in cache. So this is what I'm doing here. I'm trying to see if it's in cache, otherwise, while creating a new site content item, adding its properties, asking the content manager to create the content item, and then put that in the cache. So the next call doesn't even look for the ID, it's just loading the site from memory. Okay. And if we have multiple nodes, we can still use our message bus memory invalidation to invalidate that. And then I also use it for the content definition manager. Content definition manager was a beast before. It's still a beast, but it's easier in database. In database, we used to have 5 tables. Now it's 1 document. It's new content definition. Boom, save it. It's 1 document, 1 query to get all the content definition parts, fields, settings, and everything. 1 big document. And this one is not even stored in memory or cached. But what we could do, because it's 1 document, it's not a content item, it's a document. So there is only 1 ID in the document. We can even save the ID across queries because this won't change. The ID will be the same. So we'll cache the ID and we can load it all the time from document store because the document store will be cached. So from a coding perspective, it's very easy to get faster documents in memory. Yep.
So Sebastian, in case you want to access the database directly, like we do with iRepository now, so the only option would be just to create your own abstraction on top of the Connect SQL connection, right? We're not going to have like some iRepository like
No.
Okay.
No. You have the connection. Do what you want.
Okay.
And I would suggest to use Dapper because we use SQL or MicroREM, whatever you want. But yeah, if you want to access some records directly, you can still create them with the migration, and that's good because you have migration, you have update and version numbers. You can, like in Orchard 1, it's beautiful. You can still do exactly the same thing. But if you want to do queries on records directly, which are not SQL records, then use a connection and do your query.
Maybe we should think about, just providing some base.
I'm not even sure I want to think into that, because abstracting means putting some barriers, and then people want to break through the barriers, and they are blocked, and in the end they will go to SQL. So we'll solve the issue with Orchard 1 by abstracting things. It's SQL, do SQL.
Okay.
Less work also. I don't have any more battery. Quick.
And in a way, there is an abstraction already built into the framework in the form of EF, right? So if you get the connection,
you can use EF. Yeah. If you could use EF, but you will maybe use their migrations and everything. That will be interesting to see. Yeah, that will be part of the module development plan. See what's limiting and what people find limiting. We might change our decisions based on what people think when they actually do create modules. We'll see.
Now, the reason I ask is because I think there surely will be some scenarios in which you have, I don't know, existing SQL tables you want to access, or SQL will always be there.
So then you will have your own connection, which might not be the one from Orchard, and your own pattern. That's fine. You have your own services connecting to anything. Today, people do that with Orchard. They have other databases or tables, and they use anti-framework also in Orchard. We have seen that, so that's fine. I don't think we should care about it or provide an abstraction for them to do that. No, you have the connection. Do what you want to do, but you have the connection.
Okay, sounds like enough.
I agree. It's a good plan.
And they can't complain about it. It will be like, without Orchard, what will you do to connect your database? You will get a connection and use whatever framework you want and that we don't want. We provide SQL for content items and also for anything else you would like. But yeah, otherwise, do what you want.
Yeah, we don't limit you. We just bring you back to square zero where you would be anyway without Orchard.
Yep. And that's what, in the end, people want. Pay for play. Good.
Very good.
Okay, so
you're working more or less full time on this now, Sebastian?
I am full time on Orchard.
Cool.
It's been like this since October.
Most of your time on Orchard 2, I suppose?
The last 2 months, yes, mostly on Orchard 2. Did the gallery. Now I focused on the release, and yeah, I do also some MVC work from time to time. I have some big things to do, but I'm postponing it. But yeah, Orchard 2. That's part also of the goal for the ASP.NET team to have something that works and that. Oh, look at that! We did that with ASP.NET 5. So if we could, you can. Yeah, we'll see how it goes. Right. Okay. No more battery. It will close in 5 seconds. Thanks everyone. See you on Thursday.
Thanks. Right. Bye everyone.
Bye.
Thank you guys.